I'd like to welcome all to the Board of Health meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded for playback on YouTube by WRPS. Please go to WRPSRockland.com for more information. In attendance is myself, Vice Chair Michelle Kennedy, and Member Robert Stevens, Health Agent Delson Flip. First item on our agenda is trash abatements. Has everyone had a chance to look at the trash abatements?
I have, yeah.
Okay, I have as well.
So then,
I have no questions. Do you have any questions for the trash abatements? No? Okay.
motion to accept January 2024 abatements.
Motion accepted, right? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Next item on the agenda is meeting minutes from November 30th, 2023. Does anybody have any questions about those minutes?
No. Motion to accept the November 2023 board meeting minutes.
Accept. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Under new business, we have Michael Hugo with a presentation on job marketing consideration.
Okay, so you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me here tonight. I actually wanted to have an opportunity to speak to you about some of the issues that are showing up across the state as far as job force and workforce availability, and kind of give you a little bit of a caution, if I may. I believe, Michelle, I believe you and I have met. I don't know that I've met your other board member before, but the Mass Association of Health Boards is your organization. We are the member organization for board members who are elected and appointed, and we offer educational and legal and operational technical assistance to all of the boards across the state. And it seems that a couple times a week I'm appearing before one board or another, now that we have the luxury of Zoom, which makes it much, much easier than Route 3 and Route 128 coming from here. I live out in Wellesley, so it'd be kind of a haul to get there, so I appreciate the fact I'm accommodated this way tonight. And one thing, please put on your calendar that on April 27th, we're going to be running a MAHB certificate program for board members in Taunton. We'll be holding it at the Clarion, which is where we usually hold them in that area. We also will have one in Marlborough, date we're working on, and if you really want to get adventurous, we're doing one in Holyoke in March. It's at a beautiful spot. Great meal, by the way, but anyway, that's another thing. But just mark your calendars, because you probably, if you're available, you're going to want to attend this, because under the new workforce standards that have now been codified, board members have got to go through trainings, formal trainings. I know that in the past, I have been there several times to talk to your prior boards about duties and powers and responsibilities. We had some issues that you're probably aware of previously in Rockland that made it so that we needed to bring them some up-to-date current education for board members. And the fact that we haven't had to do that again means that you guys are doing pretty well. So, but we do have this training available, and it covers everything from open meeting and public record to what your duties and powers are and how to conduct various types of hearings and all of that.
Mike,
So
will I get
that's
a
the
link?
thing I come in with.
Mike, will I get a link to sign them up?
Yes, you will.
I will,
You
okay.
And the sign-up fees are attributable. You can put those on your Public Health Excellence Grant.
Thank you very much.
Okay, including yours if you want to attend.
Okay.
So those are all.
I like a good lunch.
At Great, well, the one in Taunton's good, but the real meal, the real one to go to, if you're a foodie, is the one that we do out in Holyoke. It's at a really, really great spot. Anyway, that's not why I came tonight. I came tonight because we're very concerned about, with the new workforce standards that are going into effect, we're concerned about the existing workforce and the security of the existing workforce. And in your case, I think that that's only really one full-time person that we're talking about, and that's still Sean. And I wanted to bring a couple of things to your attention if I could. And again, Delshon being a health agent would belong to either MIHA, which is the the Environmental Health Association, or to MHOA, or to both, which is the health officers. That's not who we are. We're here as your organization. So what I'm saying now is not coming at you from the angle of a membership organization that would be protecting Delshon's interests as much as it's going to sound that way as I speak to you. But we're concerned about the fact that there are not enough people who are working in the workforce across the state. The numbers have dwindled. I am more representative looking of what the current workforce looks like in public health in Massachusetts than even Delshon is. It's an aging workforce, and it's a retiring workforce, and there's very few people who are jumping into public health right now because of various things, including the pay, including the terrible hours and the responsibilities that come with the type of a job that Delshon has. But what you need to know is that that there are probably 20 or so vacancies right now across the state for health directors. There's no big force of people that are coming up, as I mentioned, that are looking for those jobs. There are probably 50 or 60 inspector positions that are unfilled across the state right now. Public health nurses, there's about another 30 or 40 that are being sucked up by the public health excellence grant programs, which you belong to, through the Marshfield Cooperative. And so there's just not enough people out there working. And so what we're urging our member boards is to pay attention, and I know that this is one of the boards that can set your health agent's salary, which is one of the reasons that I'm addressing you about it instead of your board of selectmen, which in many cases we talk to boards of selectmen. I spend an inordinate amount of time talking to town managers about this very issue. Delshon is one of the, I will tell you, is one of the, I think she's one of the leaders in your county. I think that everybody knows her hard work and her initiative. I think that you know that very few very few boards of health and their agents are responsible for trash. I think there's only 2 in Plymouth County that are, and you're one of them. I know that Delshon recently has done on her own initiative, has done a negotiation of a deal that'll save your town, I think somewhere upwards of $500,000 on your next trash contract, which is very impressive because for anybody to be able to cut costs like that is huge right now. But her certifications, she's going to need some more certifications under the new workforce standards. It's not going to cost you anything because we've been able to work with the state on ARPA funding and applying the ARPA funding to workforce development, so the tuitions and the expenses of sending her and hotels and everything else like that, if she has to go somewhere for training, that we can make sure that gets covered from your public health excellence grant funds. But the one thing that I'm concerned with is I'm looking at the salaries for Plymouth County, and I see that one of the leading health agents is one of the least paid health agents, and that's something that I think is within your province, and it's something you're going to have to really think hard about. Delshon, I think, is the second or third least paid health agent in your county, and we need to make sure that gets corrected because it's a huge margin between where Delshon is And if you look at Situate, that, you know, their agent is making $92,000. I'm not saying that that's something that's necessary to match, although it would be wonderful, I'm sure. Sean wouldn't say no, but I think
Not
we
at
need
all.
to get realistic with that, with the amount that you're paying her, considering the amount of work that she's doing, and considering another issue, which is the fact that your Public Health Excellence Collaborative, which I actually helped to form. I'm the person that made the phone calls, and that's where I think I met Delshawn first, was when I was approaching her to ask her if your town would be interested in getting involved in one of the collaboratives. Your collaborative is not stable right now. I don't think I'm telling any secrets here when I tell you that there's been a lot of dissatisfaction to the point that your shared services coordinator has left the position, which I think was fortuitous that he left on his own terms, because I don't think that he was working out well. I'm working with your collaborative very hard right now to make sure that we hire a replacement for that person and bring somebody in who is going to really move the ball. But there's a real issue of whether or not Marshfield, as the host community, is a stable host community for this. And I will share with you that I've been talking with the Department of Public Health regularly about this particular group, because I do work on all 51 of the shared services groups, the Public Health Excellence Grant groups. I work as the frontline person that reports directly from the groups to the Department of Public Health and says, we need this or we need that. This group has a special need, this group doesn't, this group needs way more, this group is okay, this group isn't okay. And in this particular case, this group is not okay. And there is a distinct possibility that there'll have to be a shift in the host community. And I will share with you that Delshawn and the Rockland Board of Health are front and center and right in the middle of our sites as far as where we bring the grant to next. That brings with it 15% administration fee that goes directly to the town, so the Board of Health would have, I think at this point we're talking about somewhere around $60,000 or $75,000 in completely unrestricted administrative fee money that you have brought into your Board of Health, because you are actually the employing agent for this. So your town would benefit by having it moved to Rockland, and having Delshawn there is making it very easy for me to talk to the health department about that grant to your town should it fail in its current position with Marshfield, which is
Mike,
highly possible.
oh,
Yes.
sorry. What does that entail for us to be the host?
What it entails is doing payroll essentially. So it would go through your chief financial officer of your town, and they would basically add the employees of the shared services group as if they were employees of the town of Rockland, and the payroll would come through Rockland. The insurance benefits, everything that any employee of the town of Rockland gets would be extended to the grant, to the people who are hired as shared services employees. All of the funding for that is in addition to the 15%. So the 15% is an administrative fee that is absolutely discretionary within your town. If, for instance, you were to hire somebody, let's use easy numbers. If you hired somebody for $50,000 and they're withholding their health insurance, their whatever it is that the town offers for benefits, their vacation time benefits, their paid time off benefits, their retirement benefits and things of that sort. Say that cost another $10,000 a year. That would come out of the grant itself. That wouldn't come out of the 15%. The 15% is completely discretionary with the town. And of course, DPH would like to see it used for public health purposes, but they're not even demanding that. It just can go right into your general town coffers, or since you're the Board of Health and you employ your own agent, and since you are an autonomous board, that money would flow through you to the town, however it is that you arrange that with your town managers. and your CFO, so.
And I've already spoken with Doug Lapp and the town accountant Scott Curtis about it, and Scott's on board, yes. So, he's excited about it, actually.
So I bet it's a good benefit. It's
Yeah.
Well, 15% of, right now, your base is $300,000 a year, but you have, you've qualified for around, I think it's a little bit north of 150,000. I think it was 180,000 or something in that range. Correct me if I'm way off, Delshawn, but I think there was a capacity assessment that was conducted by the Department of Public Health as part of the PHE program, and Delshawn spent hours pulling this stuff together for your town and doing the reporting that you needed for that. Each town that's participating pulled together a lot of paperwork for DPH, and on top of the $300,000, DPH has put in another 100. I think it's 180, but I might
do
be
too.
off.
I can check, I'll double check, and I'll get
Yeah.
back to them if that's the
It's
case.
something, as I recall from talking to Gary Russell, it's something right in that range.
Yeah,
So you're talking about a base, instead of 300,000, you're talking about a base of 480,000. And then it's 15% of that goes to the town. That's basically, for lack of anything else, it's really a thank you by DPH saying, thank you for hosting this effort. You can't supplant, I think that you probably know this about the Public Health Excellence Program, you can't, and you're not in really a position where we're worried about it because you don't have a whole lot of employees, but some of the towns, for instance, one town completely cut their nursing, saying we don't need a nurse anymore because we have the Public Health Excellence shared nurse in our town, so we don't need to pay for that nurse anymore. And what happened with them is the Department of Public Health forced them to take that line item that they were paying for their nursing and put it into the grant group. Because if you're gonna rely on the grant group for something that you have going right now, that's not fair.
right.
So that instead of supplanting, the idea of the program is to add, to supplement your workforce, to get you more people on a shared basis. And your shared services group has been abysmally slow at doing hiring. In fact, I don't think, has there been a hire at this point?
Nope,
No, okay.
just one hire and then he left willingly.
Right, and
Yeah.
but he was only a shared services coordinator. He wasn't doing inspections, and he wasn't doing nursing services, and he
Right.
wasn't worried about kids in the high school that want to kill themselves, and about substance use disorder, and about older people who are stuck at home and afraid to tell anybody that they don't have food and things of that sort, which is really what
Well,
we have to be.
social worker.
So.
We're
And that's-
pushing for a
that's-
social worker for the town. It's huge. We need one. And I'm also pushing for a drone, but that will never happen, but.
You're never getting your drone, Dustin. You might as well invest in the Starship Enterprise. Because you're gonna get that before you get a drone, I'm sorry.
So the 15% that comes back is coming back to the Board of Health?
No, it goes to the general fund. They like to see it used, obviously accordingly with, but, for Board of Health issues, but it doesn't have to be. Because we have the other part of the grant, the other 400,000 that we have pays for all those other jobs that we have to offer. Inspectors, social workers, when I say inspectors, I'm talking food, housing, Title V, all those kind of inspections. So if I'm tied up, like right now, we have ALSCO, we're paying them, they're doing our food inspections, they're doing a lot of food inspections for people, and getting paid through the Public Health Excellence Grant. So it's saving the town huge, because we
And
never.
You just mentioned housing, and that's one of the things that Rockland is kind of known for at this point. You know, Delshawn was venting about this housing case that you know a whole lot more than I know anything about, other than the fact that when she was venting at me about what was going on, I said, this isn't right, and when she told me what the landowner's expert witness claimed that he was doing, and I knew that he was lying when he said that. He claimed that he wrote the food code. So I said to Delshawn, why don't you hire Paul Halfman and I think you all know who he is that?
Yeah,
Mm,
30
okay.
Belmont, yeah.
And you know, and I said to her, why don't you hire Paul Halfman, because he wrote it, and put them both on the witness stand, and only one of them is telling the truth, and it's Paul. He's the one that wrote the code. It wasn't Felix, the other guy that
Yeah.
came to. So I helped you get to Paul and got him interested in working with you on that. But coming back from that, Paul explained to me that even though you have a very small town, that you have a lot of issues of housing there. And in fact, I understand that Delhi's going to court tomorrow on a housing issue and missing out on a seminar that I think the town wants her to attend. But and that's another thing about your town is that you have a court appearance, and I'm looking at some notes from a conversation I had earlier with Delshon, but you have a property that came through the zoning board that has some issues, and Delshon is going to be the only one going to court tomorrow. Nobody from the building department is going to court tomorrow on it. And
Yeah,
they
Deputy
probably
Heaney
should
and
do
I.
it.
Just me and fire.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a pattern that we probably are going to want to help you address at some point with maybe educating some of the rest of the town as to what your powers are as a Board of Health. And we've done that. In fact, I was in Great Barrington, which is about as far west as you can get, and about as far away as you guys can be from anywhere in Massachusetts. The week before last, and we met with the town manager, the Board of Selectmen, or the Select Board, excuse me, and the Board of Health, and had a joint meeting. And all the way through it, you could just see that the Select Board, they were like, what? That's what the Board of Health does? We didn't know that. And I think it's important that the rest of your town government understands what your functions are. And it's more important that you understand what your functions are so that we can help you to give that message to them. But nobody knows what a Board of Health does. You know, when I was the chair of the Board of Health in Framingham, I was on the board for 15 years there, and 8 of them I was the chair. And I went to the town meeting, and I don't know, Michelle, whether or not you've had to go to town meeting to get a budget at all, whether that falls on you as the chair there. But in Framingham, it's up to the board members, it's up to the chair. And I went to the town meeting, and I was gonna get 30%. There was no way that they weren't gonna give me 30% because we were such a great Board of Health. I went in front of that town meeting, and I came out of there with 0. I got nothing. I got a 0% raise. And in my failure analysis, which after I was done crying for the next 2 days, I couldn't believe what happened. It was humiliating. The next year I went back and I realized that the reason that they gave me nothing is that they didn't know what we did. I assumed that everybody who's in town meeting would at least know what the Board of Health does, but they didn't, and that's because we were doing our job. And if you do your job as a Board of Health, nobody knows you're there because there's no emergency, there's nobody dying from food poisoning, and there's nobody's homeless because they've been evicted and thrown on the street by the government. And so the next year I went back with a slide presentation and talked for 20 minutes about what a Board of Health is and asked for 30% and got 35. So that's just the way it works. And I think that it's important. I bet your Board of Selectmen has no idea what you guys can do and what you can't do as a board member. And I think that's all part of the deal here. So, I don't want to take up your whole meeting, but I do want to say that if you are, in fact, in charge of setting salaries for your staff, I think that you got to pay some attention to what you're paying Delshon. Not that it's happening, and not that I've heard anybody say that they're going to make a run at Delshon, but if somebody made a run at Delshon and offered her $80,000 or $90,000, I think she'd be pretty hard pressed to say no to something like that. And I think that to protect yourselves as a board, you don't want to be out there looking for a health director right now. You just don't want to. They're not out there. There's nobody out there. In fact, I'm in addition to what I do for a living, which is MAHB. I have sort of a side gig, and I've been working as the shared services coordinator for the islands since that grant was formed, which was one of the first grants. And we hired a kid 10 months ago out of the kitchen. He was a facilitator. That's the guy that screams at the chef. You know, where's the salad? That table's waiting for their appetizers, whatever. That was his job. And we were looking for an inspector. And the health director in Edgartown said, you know, I get this kid that comes over to me in the kitchen every time I'm doing an inspection, wants to learn about why they're in trouble and all of that. So he said, what do you think about maybe offering him a job as an inspector? So we made him an inspector 10 months ago, and we started him at $52,000. Then we shifted from Nantucket to Dukes County as the host community. And he had to be paid on a Dukes County salary basis, so he had to get a raise to $72,000, which was about 60 or maybe 60 days into his job. And now, as of January 1st, he just took over as the health director in Tisbury, and
What's
he's
his
making
name?
$90,000 now.
What's his,
So-
I think I was at the Title 5 in soil evaluator.
Yeah, Drew. His name's Drew.
Yeah, I think I was with him. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably. I think you were with him.
Yeah.
He just went. Yeah, I mean, he
Yeah.
went through all the training.
I called him Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, that's the kid.
Yeah.
A young guy, Drew
Yeah,
Belsky.
really nice
Yeah.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah, he's about 26, 27 years old. He's a health director. But that shows, number one, it shows what the public health excellence program is really supposed to be doing, which is develop new workforce, and I think we succeeded real well there. But it also shows that there's not a whole lot of people out there that are qualified and that have years of experience that are hireable. So you got a gem in Delshon. Make sure you don't lose it, because it's impossible to find someone else right
I
now.
tell them all the
You'll never find
time.
anyone on Delshon, ever.
They know.
On many levels, you'll never find anyone like Delshon. I don't need to tell you guys that. You deal with her every day. But if you can, and I don't know if this is something that you do as the board, many boards do set the rates, but if it's not, I think that you need to get on board and help her out and help yourselves out so that you're not in the position where you're looking. And I think that the PHE program, regardless, I know that we're gonna make some changes there real soon. I've been working with them on hiring their next shared services coordinator. I think that we've got somebody right now who's an outside, they're a consulting firm that has a bureau from within their company that does this, that they're very willing to help
Yeah.
out. It's just now an issue of one of the people for, I think it's the Pembroke board member, is insisting on doing some other interviews and posting and all of that, so that's gonna slow it down a little bit, but they're gonna end up with this
Yeah,
particular.
Absolutely. We need that.
Delshon says that they are, so they will.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're here for you, and I don't know if there's ever anything that you need from us, but I'll tell you right now that I'm gonna be coming back to you in the next couple of months, talking to you about what's happening in Plymouth right now. I don't know if you're aware of it or not. If you've been following, because of your proximity, if you've been following what's been going on with the decommissioning of Pilgrim Station, but I will tell you, I myself am terrified of what's happening there right now. They have our attention. We have the group out in Great Barrington has some issues with water supply and literally brown water that looks like the end result of a toilet. When you turn your faucet on, it comes out literally that color. And on the other end of the state, we have Pilgrim Station. And I don't know, I'm sure you're aware of the plan that they had, Holtec, to dump the water, which I think that the community has done a great job of stopping. But right now, instead of that, they're evaporating the water, and I'm in the process of drafting a cease and desist and an order to correct that they're gonna be serving on Holtec, which is the company that's doing that. But more scary than that, they have these things that they call dry casks, and I don't know if you've heard about the dry casks, but they look like maybe 50-foot tall trash cans, and they're cylinders. They're about 50 feet tall or about 10 feet across, and there are 62 of them and they are easily seen from the road. There's nothing between the side of the road and those on the Pilgrim property. And each one of those dry casks contains between 1/3 and 1/2 of the amount of cesium that was that escaped at Chernobyl. And each one of those has between 1/3 and 1/2 of that amount inside it, and there's 62 of them. And what literally is keeping me awake right now at night is the fact that we live in a very scary time in our world, and if somebody were to do something to one of those casks, or to 62 or 2 or 3 or whatever it is of them, there would be a nuclear disaster that would affect you. It would affect all of us in Massachusetts, because there's about 30 times the amount of cesium total in those 62 casks of what happened at Chernobyl, and you don't need that being so close to it. So I'm going to actually be discussing with all of the boards of health in Plymouth County and Bristol County and Barnstable County, perhaps getting involved and at least being there as a resource for the Plymouth Board of Health when they take this. They're going to take a very brave action. The NRC and the Atomic Energy Commission have done nothing. The DEP and the EPA have done nothing. And the reason is that they can't do anything unless there's a regulation in place that's being violated. And when I talk to the people in Washington, they say, well, who in their right mind, who in their right mind would ever have come up with that kind of a scheme? Of course we don't have a regulation for that. It's such a stupid idea that nobody would ever think that we need a regulation on that. And so the only people that are left in the whole world that can stop that from happening, believe it or not, are the Board of Health. And
You
so
just let me
I'll
know.
be coming back to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely reach out to me and let me know, and I'll add you to the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, you let me
We're
know.
here for anything like that, like we're doing for Plymouth and like we're doing for Great Barrington. If you have issues in your town that we can help you with, we have lawyers, guns, and money, so we can help you. So,
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
okay, nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. So next we have the recycling and trash collection RFP. You want me to read what's in red?
Yeah.
Okay. The agenda stated award of contract and error should state review as we awarded to all state November 30th meeting.
So I was just going over some of the contractual figures with Allstate. I received an email today from town council agreeing with the extra additional charges. I have a meeting scheduled on Monday with Allstate to go over those other fees. So unfortunately, I don't have anything right now, but I can tell you that I am working on it, and we will have a contract ready and signed for our February meeting.
Okay, so we're kind of tabling this?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you don't mind. Again, like I said, you guys, the only thing that we know for sure is that the board is 100% on board with weekly recycling.
Yes.
That's probably the only big thing that we have to worry about. All the other small extra weekly charges I'll work out with. The collection of the municipal buildings, that was something that was not charged before with Republic. And so that figure right there, that 416, is accurate.
So that's what the dollar per,
Yeah, that's the dollar per yard for each one of those off-site municipal things. But again, I'll just keep you guys informed. I'll send out an email after my conversation with them on Friday. So,
Okay. So next, we have the tobacco
Yeah.
hearing.
I'm sorry, did you guys sign, the minutes?
Yeah. we
Yes.
got
Oh,
it.
you did,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. Here's everything. So next, we have the tobacco hearing, and we have Kathleen Mahoney, the South Shore Tobacco Coordinator, to speak about the violation.
Yeah, so it's with Family Dollar located on Market Street. On November 15th, around 12:42, I went into the retailer to do an inspection. And while I was in there, I noticed on their shelf, it's actually inspection or pricing survey. I noticed a Boston Casino, Black and Mild Casino, and that's considered a flavored product here in Massachusetts. This was their second violation against the new law, the first one being a sale to a person under 21. And this is the second one doing a flavor product. So it results in a $2,000 fine, which they already paid. But the board needs to decide how long to suspend their permit. And I will say that currently right now in the town of Rockland's regulations on a second violation, you have a 3-day suspension written in your current regulations. And that's a second violation within 12 months. So
6 months.
I'm sorry, no,
Right?
on the second one, within 12 months.
Oh, I thought it was,
Current,
oh,
this is
okay.
just current.
Oh,
On
okay.
your Rockland.
Oh, okay.
But the 2,000 comes from the state law as a fine. And then currently with the state law, you can choose between, up to 30 days for sale to a person under 21. The 3 days comes from your regular regulations for the 3 days. And then Delshaw and I were discussing that in the future would like to get together with you guys and look at the current regulations and maybe, mirror them with the state. But for right now, for this current violation, in your regulations, it would be 3 days. So if you guys agree to that, the next process is to figure out which days you would like, and it has to be consecutive. And then we'll send out notification to Family Dollar.
Okay, so I agree that it should be a 3-day suspension, especially being the second violation. So I make a motion for a 3-day suspension.
Second,
All those in favor? Aye.
and that we decide what days those
Yeah.
will be.
Yeah, and,
And just remember, giving the time frame of, that we have to notify them too.
Okay.
yeah, so we have to notify them, and then, if they want to bring it to the next level of court, which I haven't really seen, that gives them time, so, it's up to you guys. I would recommend probably 10 days out, just to get the notice
Oh,
of
yeah,
that.
I was gonna say February.
That works, yeah.
Yeah.
February works for me.
Okay.
What
Anybody,
date's in February?
so, do we want to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or do we wanna be nice and do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, especially if we're doing at least the 3. That's minimum.
Yeah,
We
it's
can
up
do
to
Thursday.
So the first, February 1st,
Is that a Thursday?
that's a Thursday, or
Okay.
February 8th, whatever, you just let me know.
Will the first give us enough time to give them everything that they need?
Why don't we make it the 8th?
Yeah, let's
okay.
make it the 8th,
Just
just
in
in
case.
case, yeah.
So the 8th, 9th, and 10th, and they're
Yeah.
able to sell on the 11th?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Do we have to make a motion for those days too?
Yes.
Okay.
And motion to, have February 8th, 9th, and 10th be the, suspension days for Family Dollar.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Okay, that's a vote.
So,
And then the last thing here is, permits.
mhm.
So, we are very low on our permit fees around us. And I was checking to see if the board would do a $25 increase on all permits. So, food catering, would go to 150. and then the 1 day would go to 75. I think the animal permits, I think when we just did those regulations, we voted on that, so I don't know if you wanna touch that or not.
I wouldn't, because I feel like in the kind of like economic times that we're having, that people have the animals, number one, maybe for food or
I agree.
what have you, so I feel like I don't wanna hit a townsperson twice if they're trying to,
Yeah.
you know, raise their own food.
Yep.
So I myself wouldn't wanna do the animal. Rob?
I mean, I have no idea what, so the original one was 50 and now that you're asking for.
Yeah, I was not asking for animal, because we had just did these new regulations,
Okay.
and they're not even a year old. And
Oh, so
we
that one's
spent a
already
lot
kinda
of time
updated
on
a
that,
little
Right.
so
Oh,
I wasn't asking for that.
okay.
But the other ones, like the
Right.
business ones,
Right.
the
Mhm.
Body Works, the camp,
Okay,
and then the big one at the bottom is late fee. All other towns, we only do 25, all other towns do what the permit fee is, as if they're late.
I agree with that, because then by them being late, it puts everybody else,
It
does.
you know what I mean?
Right.
Well, we have to come in and sign how many, 100,
Right?
100 permits, so.
And it's aggravating, because we are on them starting in the end of September.
Right.
yeah,
They get emails every 14 days, don't forget, your permit's due December 1st, and nobody, and then it's like a scrambling thing, and
It's true, we
$25.
don't,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
I know, and
Yeah.
then the backwashes
You're
now,
redoing all of
you
the
guys, and now with
administration.
that,
I
the
agree,
food
because,
inspectors are late.
yep, no, I agree, because, you know, unfortunately, when you tie money to something, people get things in on time.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
So
I-
now late fees will be based on what the permit fee is. Now,
besides animal,
besides animal.
yeah.
Yeah, well, we don't do a late fee for animals
Yeah.
anyway. But, how about like all the other ones? Would you entertain a $25 increase on each one?
Yeah, what is our surrounding towns, do you know,
I
like
was just gonna ask.
Abington?
Yeah, they're all in the 200s.
Whitman,
Oh,
Hanover.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we should be,
Okay.
I think we should be
Definitely.
competitive with the other towns
Yeah.
around us.
For sure.
right? Yeah. So, yeah, okay,
So we have to make a motion for that?
yes.
Okay.
Increase the, oh, sorry, I didn't make the motion.
Motion to, increase the late fee to what the permit would be, right? And then a $25 increase for the rest of them except animal.
And,
The late fee would be the permit fee.
The cost of the
Yeah.
permit.
and then we're increasing the permit fees as
Yeah.
well, yeah,
Okay,
right?
I think
By
so.
25,
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so.
second,
When's this effective?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
yeah, this will be in effect for the, 2025,
fiscal year,
permits, yeah.
2025.
Annual. Yep, so all the camp, the food, next December, when people are applying for their 2025,
Okay.
that's when everything will take place.
Deli, could we, I don't know if these people are on email, but could we send out an email letting them know
Yeah.
what the upcoming changes will be?
Absolutely, yeah,
That, you know, so we're giving them plenty of
Notice.
notice that if they're not having it on time, that that's gonna be a
Yep.
significant late fee.
I will absolutely send them a meeting, I mean, an email stating, you know, at January 9th board meeting, the
Right.
board unanimously voted to increase permit fees and the late fees,
Effective,
effective for the 2025 annual permits.
Okay, do
So-
we have anything else?
No,
I think we're ready for.
Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting and go into executive session to conduct contractual negotiations with a non-union personnel and not to reconvene?
Motion.
Second, all those in favor?